I've been doing story times that are based on like my current events, things that are happening currently in my life. But a lot of y'all are telling me to bring it back to Walmart, Sephora, all that shit. So we bringing it back. And I have to be very nice with this person. I have to be very gentle because it's a pretty messed up situation. I can't lie. I bought this drink from the 24-hour Asian store. Why did that sound like a cartoon? It tastes real good though. I was between 17, 18, or 19 years old, okay? And I was the type of girl that, like, if I want something, I'ma get it. Manifestation, emancipation, menstruation, evaluation, right? So I seen my type. The only little was he was flipping a cardboard sign for Little Caesars. You know how the people like flip the sign and say like, "Come here, buy pizza from over here." Da, da, da. Yeah, he was one of those sign flipper people, right? But like to me, he was so handsome that it didn't even matter. So I passed him on the bus in the summertime like often, and he was always flipping that sign at the exact same place. One day, I decided to come off the bus. You know, I was feeling myself that day. I look cute. And I was like, all I gotta do is the signature walk. Walk by him. He's gonna look at me. He's gonna be like, I want her. I'm gonna play hard to get. And that's gonna be my man, right? Like I had this all planned out in my head. So I came off the bus way before my stop. And I did the walk. If you don't know what the walk is, let me show you real quick. He didn't even fart on me. He didn't even, like nothing. And when I tell you that humbled me real quick, oh, Lord. But at the same time, it made me want him even more. Because that walk has never failed me. It has never failed me. I was so used to getting attention from men that I wanted when I wanted them, that when he didn't even lift up one booty cheek and fart on my bitch ass, I was kind of offended. Like immediately offended. I only came off the bus to walk by him to get his attention. Went to the store, got nothing, came back to go to the bus stop, walked past him again. This nigga still didn't fart on me. So at this point, I made it my mission to yank him. Like I needed him. So 3 days in a row, I got on the bus, and 3 days in a row, that nigga was not there. At this point, I'm like, okay, maybe it's just not meant to be. Maybe, you know, let me just let it be. Let it be. A month goes by and I randomly see him. I'm like, okay, yeah, I got places to go and shit, but again, this must be meant to be. So I hop off the bus, even though I had somewhere to go. I don't remember where I was going, but I know I was going somewhere. And I'm pretty sure I was late. Could have been work. And the reason why I hopped off the bus was because it looked like he was ending his shift. Like he wasn't flipping the sign anymore. He was walking with the sign like he just finished his shift or something. So I'm like, let me get off the bus and figure out how to either get his attention or just talk to him, which is not something I would normally do. But I was like, maybe he's shy. Like maybe he doesn't know how to approach me. Because how could that walk, how could that walk fail me? He's a little further up than me walking towards Little Caesar. And I ain't never ran for a bus in my life. I don't run for buses and I don't run for niggas. But he made me do a fast walk. I'm very ashamed to admit. A bitch was speed walking. Desperado. Don't do that. Bitch, you acted like he the only nigga in the world. The fuck? But anywho, I don't mind telling this story because I was young, so I don't care. Any young girls out there, my ass is on fire. This heated seat is actually baking my booty. Medium rare. Let me turn that down. Any young girls watching, don't do that shit. Make a nigga chase you. The fuck you chasing for a nigga for? You passed him, he didn't look at you. Maybe he just don't want you, bitch. The fuck? Who you think you are? I'm talking to my younger self. Who do you think you are where you tried to get a nigga's attention, he didn't give you the attention that you wanted, and now, bitch, you stalking him? Ah! Ew! Ugh. Anyways, so I speed walk my ass to him, and I'm like, excuse me, do you work at Little Caesars? And he looked at me with the most duh face I've ever seen in my life. He looked at his uniform because he's wearing a Little Caesars uniform. Stupid dumbass. I'm talking to myself. You dumbass. Are you stupid? That's what you want to say to the man? Do you work at Little Caesars? He's wearing a uniform, ho. The sign says Little Caesars, ho. It says come eat at Little Caesars. You think he just walking around holding a sign that says come eat at Little Caesars just because he's bored? That's stupid. Is this thing on? That's stupid. So he looked at me and he's like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, I'm just asking because I never had Little Caesars before. Okay, bitch, and what the fuck you telling the sign flipper that for? Thinking back to the shit I used to do when I was young, I'm just like, ugh, I'm so embarrassed. This is why I can't watch my old story times, because I was acting a fool. Like, that's very bold of you, Paris. And he just straight up said, oh, well, the pizza's not that good. We don't wash our hands. Like, I wouldn't recommend eating there. We strike up a little mini convo, and eventually I'm like, I think I was late for work. I was late for something. Pretty sure it was work. But I'm like, so, like, what's your Facebook? I want to add you on Facebook. Like, we were talking for a little bit. Like, let me search you up. He looks at me crazy again, and he's like, no. When I tell you my heart fell out of my asshole and onto the floor, I was crushed. I was so embarrassed. I don't think I've ever been that embarrassed in my life. I couldn't believe that. Yo! That was a piece of humble pie, bitch. Like, I was never rejected like that before. He just straight up said, no. I was like, damn. And then he said, well, you know, you give me your name, and if I feel like it, I might hit you up. And I don't know, again, something about, this was just such a different situation for me where, like, the guy isn't really that into me, but I'm so into him, when it's normally the other way around. A guy's really into me and I'm not into him. So the fact that, like, the roles were reversed, I was kind of intrigued. You know what I mean? Like, I kind of like the chase. You shouldn't, though. If you are a young girl, you shouldn't like the chase. I don't know what got into me. There must have been some crack cocaine in the air in Toronto that day or something. I don't know. But, so I go home, sitting on the computer just waiting for a friend request on Facebook. 3, 4, 5 days go by and get none. Nobody added me nothing. And then I remembered, okay, y'all might know, you might not know, my real name is not Paris, okay? If I told him my name was Paris, super easy to find me, Paris. Gave him my last name. But no, my real name is kind of hard to spell. And unless you write it down, you're probably not going to remember it. There's too many E's, there's too many A's, there's too many S's. So I was like, damn, okay, well, I give up for real, because this is what, my third time attempting to get in contact or know what this guy's name is. He didn't want to give me his name in person. Why am I over here stressing and begging, literally begging for this guy's attention? Like, you're really, listen, Paris, I want to talk to the younger me, okay? You're really out here begging for a man who's flipping a sign on the side of Markham and Lawrence to pay attention to you? Ugh. Ew. And then one day I was just on Facebook and I saw him. I saw his picture and his name was there. We had like 3 or 4 mutuals. And I'm like, I'm just going to send the request. I send him the request. He accepts the request and immediately messages me and says, didn't I say I'd hit you up? Is everyone okay? I don't... See, if this was in the year 2023, I would have shot him. I would have shot that nigga. Anybody, don't ever disrespect me on my computer. Are you disrespectful? But then he asked me for my number and we talked on the phone the entire night. While we're on the phone, it's like I didn't notice in person the way he spoke. You know, he was giving a lot of like, girl, I know what you mean. A lot of like, I know that's right. He was giving Saucy Santana, if you know what I mean. And I didn't notice that until we were on the phone all night. And I felt like I was talking to my homegirl. Like at a certain point in our conversation, I completely forgot that I liked him. I was having a real good, nice, friendly talk with my homegirl, with my real down-ass bitch. Forgot I was even on the phone with the male. It was giving. It was giving. I should have known that nigga too pretty. He is too beautiful. Like, literally gorgeous. You could tell he has a 5 to 10 step skincare routine. I'm talking clear nail polish hand, moisturization. And I'm pretty sure he smelled like J'adore Dior. Now that I'm thinking back. It was definitely a perfume and not a cologne. It smelled good though. He smelled good. He smelled like me. Let's put it there. We talked until the sun came up. And then he asked me to go on a date with him to the movies. And I was like, okay, cool. But at this point, low key, I'm going to be real honest, I started losing feelings for him. I was like, yeah, you're a very handsome guy. But after our conversation, like, I completely only see you as a friend. So I agreed to go to the movies with him. I go to his house and I meet his dad. His dad was one of the rudest men I have ever met in my life. And I only met his dad because he told me in order for him to leave the house, he has to prove to his dad that he's leaving with a girl. I didn't ask no questions. I'm like, I'm just trying to go. Okay. Hi, Dad. If you know anything about Caribbean culture, and he was Caribbean himself, calling your friend's parent dad or mom, very normal. So I was like, hi, Dad. He said, me look like your father. I was like, oh my gosh. No. Now I completely see and understand where this guy's sassiness comes from. Like, you're rude. I was like, damn. So I'm like, oh, sorry. Hi, I'm Paris. Then his dad goes, where we not go? To the movies, apparently. Like, at this point, I'm ready to just go home. Because why am I being disrespected by a 65-year-old man? I did not sign up for this shit. And I don't even like your son anymore. I'm just agreeing to go on this date because I'm bored. But that was the energy, the entire conversation. We only talked for like 5 minutes, but the whole time I was like, I do not like this nigga dad. I do not like your papa. I don't. Before we left, his dad looked at me and basically said, don't expect my son to buy you anything. You're buying your own ticket, your own food, and he won't be used by you. I don't know what kind of energy or vibe I gave off. Maybe I just looked like that it girl who uses niggas for money. But like, your son is flipping signs at an intersection for a Little Caesars. I really didn't expect him to pay for anything. I'm going to be really honest right now. I did not expect that nigga to pay for anything during this date, and that's okay. I was fully employed, willing, and able to pay for myself. Okay. Anyways, I was like, okay, you ready to go, son? We get to the movies and he says he wants to watch Bridesmaids. I'll never forget. It was a movie called Bridesmaids. It was a very sissy, romantic comedy, but like definitely for girls type film. And that's just not my vibe. And I wouldn't think it was his either. But we sat there, we watched it, didn't get to talk much. And then we were on our way home on the bus. And he was like, oh, I want to go to this party tonight. Do you want to come? I was like, yeah, for sure. Party was going to start in like 4 hours. So I got home to start getting ready. And then he called me and he was like, oh, I can't go. My dad said I can't go to the party. Sorry. Like, blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, all right, cool, whatever. Wasn't that phased. There's a party every Friday. If I don't go to this one, I'll go to another one. He called me again, like maybe an hour later, and he's like, yo, you still want to go to this party? My dad just left. He said he won't be back until like 2 a.m. Like, let's go to this party. Let's go. I'm like, all right, let's go. I'm already ready. Meet me at the block. So I get my friend. He got his friend. We all met up at the party, and they were smoking outside. The boys, they were smoking outside. We were just standing beside them, waiting or whatever. And out of nowhere, are y'all listening? If y'all not listening, now's the time to listen. Because here's where shit gets spooky. Spooky. Spooky pooky. Out of nowhere. Remember, did I describe what he looks like yet? He's really tall. He has dreads. This is not Cameron, by the way. I'm not going to, at the end of the video, I'm not going to be like, oh, and it was Cam. No, this is a whole different person, okay? He has long dreads. Like really, really long dreads. Like probably past his ass. Model-esque face, super tall, kind of not like very buff, but like athletic build. So when we're standing up there and they're smoking and I see him like, y'all, it was such a blur, but at the same time it wasn't because I was sober. I didn't even start drinking yet. So I remember everything like it was yesterday, but at the same time, everything happened so fast that everyone involved was just confused, okay? So we're standing up there, they're smoking, and out of nowhere, this guy just, like, falls back. Like, he literally falls back on his back. So I look down at him, I'm like, what the fuck just happened? I'm now witnessing this man being assaulted. Assaulted by somebody. Not jumped, you know, just one person is on him. The person grabbed onto his hair like this, like, held on tight. And they were feeding him punches like forced trauma. Blunt, you play the back, bitch, I'm the front. You need a job. This ain't cutting it. Nicki Minaj is who you ain't fucking with. You little ragabada beat you with a padlock. Like he was really getting it. They were feeding him like he was starving. It was serious. And mind you, there was no confrontation, no conflict, no nothing prior to. Nothing happened. So this was so random and so like literally brutal. It was a brutal beating. I had no fucking clue what was going on. His friend ran. Left him. Me and my friend were the only ones standing beside him because I'm like, I know a nigga not gonna hit me. They can, but I'm gonna call the police. That's what I'm gonna call. So I'm gonna stand right here beside my I guess friend. I'll call him my friend. But his actual friend, gone. Sprinted. Left. And he wasn't getting jumped. It was one person beating his ass. I did not know what to do. I didn't know what to do. I just stood there and I waited for the beating to stop because I was confused. A bunch of people started circling us. People had their phones out, recording it. And the person lifted him up by his dreads. Mind you, he's tall, like I said. He stood up. And when he stood up, I finally saw the person who was beating his ass's face. It was his father, his daddy, his pops, his papa, his dad. It was his dad. His dad came to the party, beat his ass, and then dragged him into the car by his hair. All this is happening while everyone's recording. Everyone has their phones out. Everybody's witnessing this. I was like, this is the most embarrassing shit I've ever witnessed or seen in my life. Pulled his ass into the car by his hair. This is a fucking 6 foot tall man. His dad is not as tall as him. So can you imagine what that looks like? His head was bent over while he's walking because his dad is short. Like, that's mud. That's crazy. The way I would never speak to my dad ever again. So after he was brutally assaulted by his own father, his own daddy, in front of hundreds, when I say hundreds, like house parties back in the day, they were packed. I'm talking a 3-bedroom house with 160 people in it. No word of a lie. And his best friend ran away when he was getting his ass beat. Papa dragged him in the car by his dreads. I was like, I have to check up on him. So I called him, didn't answer. Texted him, didn't answer. This is days later. This is not the same night. I went to go message him on Facebook. He deleted me off Facebook. I was like, oh, okay. So I did the next thing that came to my mind, which was go to his workplace. I didn't see him on the road spinning the sign, so I went inside of his actual Little Caesars location. I get there and I see him. He's in the back though. So I'm like, hey, like I smile, I wave, I'm like, hey. And he like, not runs, but he like walks to the back more where I can't see him, like out of the customer's sight, right? So I see the manager. I was like, hey, could you ask so-and-so to come out here? I just want to talk to him really quick. Manager seemed nice, was kind, went back there. Came back to me and said, he's busy right now. And I'm actually going to ask you to not come in unless you're ordering food. And I was like, oh, okay. What? So I left it alone. I was like, you got your ass beat. You're embarrassed. I get it. I just wanted to check up on you, make sure you're okay, make sure you're alive. And now that I see you in the flesh and know you're alive and well, like I'm fine with not having contact with you ever again. That's fine, because that's what you want. It's all cool. It's all gravy. And then a few years later, I found out he was gay anyways. So that's that. To end the video abruptly because my camera battery was dying. But you guys are probably sitting there wondering, okay, Paris, but like that's tea. How did you find out he was gay? Not my story to tell, but long story short, he dated my friend who's a guy and is gay. I can't really go into more details than that because, again, it's none of my business, not my story to tell. There's a lot more to it, like a lot more to it, but I'm not going to overstep that boundary with my friend or his situation. You know what I'm saying? So y'all just going to have to be happy with that. All right. Make sure you follow me on Instagram, Snapchat, all that. It's in the description box down below for your convenience. Yeah. So I don't even know what I'm going to title this video. I don't know what I'm going to title it. No clue. I'll figure it out though. See you guys in the next one. Toodles.